Now, in the second part of the lecture, we are going to discuss with the key features of the Indian Constitution. Before discussing for the key features of the Indian Constitution, I would like to say that the father of the Indian Constitution was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. His idea was to promote the scheduled caste and to help them to join government jobs. Again, at the starting of the 20th century, the Indian national movement was started and it laid the foundation of free India, which because of that equality, liberty, opportunity and freedom was promoted. His idea was to promote the justice to everyone and to have equal participation for each and everyone. In this, different communities, cultures came together, and we have the few pillars on which the constitution was laid. Now, the key features of the Indian Constitution. First feature, there are five features of the Indian Constitution. The first one is federalism. Federalism defines that the government at more than one level, and I am explaining it with the help of a graph, with a flow chart, I would say, that is the government at the central level, state level, and the panchayati raj, that is at the village level. Constitution contain a list that provide details on all the issues that each of the government can make the laws on. It means that there will be the autonomy in power on the subjects of the state, means the subjects are clearly defined on which the state can make the law. The subjects are clearly defined on which the center can make the law. Means there will be the healthy interaction between all of them. There is no conflict regarding that. Second feature we are going to discuss is that of the parliamentary form of government and not the presidential form of government. Presidential form of government is applicable in US and not in India. In India, we have the parliamentary form of government, that is the democratic form of government. Here, the people elect their representative. Citizens have the right to vote. Means when the citizens will vote, then only the person is to be elected. The person who the citizens will select, that person will be the leader, and that person will represent them in the parliament, because everybody can't go to the parliament. Everybody is not permitted to move to the parliament. They are the leaders who are representing us in the parliament. They are the one who are our representatives. Third feature is that of the separation of powers. Here again I would like to take the help of a flow chart. Regarding the separation of powers, I have defined in the form of legislature, executive and judiciary. Judiciary, we can say it is a system of court. First point is legislature. Legislature says that it has a power to make the laws. Means all the laws are made by the legislature. Executive. Second part is of the executive. What is the function of the executive? The function of the executive is to implement the laws that are made by the legislature. Means it is a step-by-step procedure. First is legislature make the laws, the executive implement the laws, and whenever there is a conflict in implementation of the laws, these are to be settled by the judiciary. The function of the judiciary is to settle the disputes and provide justice in the country. Constitution empowered all three organs with different powers so that they can keep a check on each other and prevent the misuse of the power by any branch of the law. This all the points, key points also I have written along with the explanation. The fourth key feature of the Indian Constitution is fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. Regarding the directive principles of state policy, they are defined in part 4th of the Indian Constitution. Regarding the fundamental right, there is a separate chapter on fundamental right in, please note down, the part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. There is a separate chapter of fundamental rights. they are referred to as conscience of Indian Constitution, and they are the basic rights which are to be provided to each and every individual, or in Hindi we call it Maulik Adhikar. It helps us to protect citizens against arbitrary and the absolute power. Means, for example, I would like to say that no one can use the arbitrary action, no one can use their arbitrary power for any of them, because it is a democratic government. Here in India we have the democratic, so we fundamental rights are guaranteed to us. If any of the right is violated, we can apply to the court, as we have already discussed. The fundamental rights are the basic rights. Please note down that fundamental rights are the basic rights that must be provided to each and every individual. I would like to discuss is that of the secularism. Secularism officially does not promote any religion. This means that in India we have the secular state. Any of the Indian can follow any of the religion. There is no restriction to follow any of the religion. That if you suppose, for example, if you are following the Hindu religion, okay, and if in any of the condition you want to change your religion, you can do that. There is no foundation, there is no restriction that you are Hindu, you have to follow Muslim religion, you have to follow Christianity, you have to follow Sikh religion. No. India is a secular state. There is no state religion. It is not said that as you are living in Rajasthan, you have to follow the Hindu religion only, the Muslim religion can't be followed over here, or as you are living in Rajasthan, you have to follow the Christian religion. No, there is no state religion. That's it. Now, the third part of the lecture is fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are, as I've already explained, they are the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. They are defined in part 3 of the Indian Constitution. In your book, it is given right to equality is article defined from 14 to 18, but they are not specifically mentioned that what the article 14 says, what article 15 says, what article 16 says, what article 17 says, or what article 18 says. But I am explaining one by one each and every article. You just note it down. Article 14 says equality before law. This means that it guarantees the equality to every person before the law and equal protection of law within the territory of India. Article 15 says the prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of religion, caste, sex, or place of birth. No one can discriminate you on these basis that you belongs to the particular religion, you can't come to this place. You belongs to the particular caste, you can't do up this thing. Or place of the birth, this means that you have your place of birth is for example X, you can't come to Y place. There is no discrimination on the basis of these ground. If anyone will discriminate, you can apply for it in under article 15 of the Indian Constitution. Article 16 says equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. Article 17 says the abolition of the untouchability. No one can abolish them. Article 18 says the abolition of the titles. Now the second one is right to freedom. Right to freedom is defined from Article 19 to Article 22. Article 19 says the protection of certain rights regarding freedom of speech. This means that everyone has a freedom of speech. Whatever views are there, whatever they want to say, they can clearly speak. Second, it is Article 20. It is protection in respect of conviction for offences. Article 21, that is the most important right, protection of life and personal liberty. There is, and right to privacy is also included in Article 21. Article 21A says the right to education. Article 22 says the protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. It means it also protects the person or the accused or the punished of an offense. It provides the free and compulsory education to the children of 6 to 14 years. Right to education provide the education to the children of 6 to 14 years. That is the free and compulsory education, as we all are aware about the RT Act. Now, right against exploitation. It is defined from Article 23 to 24. The Constitution prohibits the human trafficking, child labor, and the forced labor. That is, Article 23, prohibition of trafficking in human being and forced labor. Article 24 defines the prohibition of employment of children in factories. That if you, for example, if you find that any of the child labor is being going on nearby the factory at your home, if you see that in any of the factories the child are being employed, so you can make the complaint, you can demand them, you can demand justice for them under Article 24 of the Indian Constitution. That is the prohibition of employment of children in factories. The fourth one is right to freedom of religion. They are defined from Article 25 to 28. Article 25 defines the freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. Article 26 defines the freedom to manage religious affairs. 27 defines the freedom as to the payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion. Article 28 defines freedom as to the attendance of religious institutions or religious worship in certain educational institutions. And the fifth one I'm going to discuss is the cultural and the educational rights. They are defined from Article 29 to 30. Article 29 defines the protection of the interest of the minorities, the people who are being declared by the government under the minorities, the Jainism. The protection, their rights are being protected under Article 29. Under Article 30, rights of minority to establish and administer educational institution. This means that any of the educational institution can be managed and established for the minorities. They have right under Article 30. Though this is not defined in your book, the saving of the certain laws, but I just gave a reading that Article 31A says the saving of the laws providing for the acquisition of the state, etc. 31B says the validation of certain acts and the regulation, and 31C says the saving of laws given effect to certain directive principles. Now, last but not the least, that is the sixth one, that is right to constitutional remedies. It is defined under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. It says it allows the citizen to move to the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights has been violated by the state. This clearly explains that right to constitutional remedies can be provided to any of the citizen. They can move to the court if they believe that any of the fundamental right has been violated by the state. Thank you.